Hello everyone, Johnny Hurricane here from GamersHeroes.com, and today we're just going to be going over just why are there so many video game delays this year. It's been pretty ridiculous. Let's get started. Alright, so we've had quite a few delays, to name a few. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Dying Light 2, Cyberpunk, the big one, Marvel's Avengers. Ubisoft games were all delayed last year, but literally all of them have been delayed. Heck, even The Last of Us 2 got delayed. That was last year as well. But what's going on? Why are there so many delays currently? The big thing and the most obvious thing is that it doesn't matter what game you're developing, what studio you're working for, who you work for, whatever. If you can get more time as a developer, you're gonna take more time. So that leads us to the second point, the big point really, and this has kind of been uncovered as of today really, as Cyberpunk said that the game is going to be backwards compatible, or forward compatible, whichever way you want to look at it. Basically, it's going to be able to be played on Xbox Series X, which most of us already assumed was going to happen. And I believe this is going to be a similar case for the PlayStation 5. And that's really what's pushing them. I don't know exactly when they got their dev kits, that's the big thing. So while they have been working, because they do have to get these systems to, or these games to work on current gen systems, they're also taking the additional time to make sure that they work on the next gen systems as well. Because historically, doesn't matter what new console launches outside of the Switch. The Switch had Breath of the Wild, but historically, new consoles don't have a good launch lineup. It's simply how it is. So they want these big third-party games to work on their new consoles. That way, it will, drive up sales. Because if you can buy PlayStation 5 and I'm just shooting in the dark at what's launching with it, the new Horizon and I don't know, Gran Turismo Gold or whatever the new Gran Turismo is. And that's your two big Sony exclusives. Horizon will probably keep you busy for, 40, 50 hours. If you're not a driver though, that's not really gonna affect you. Same with Xbox, right? They have Halo, presumably Forza or Fable. But again, those games are only gonna keep you occupied for so long. So they need these Cyberpunks, which probably 60, 80, 100 hours. Marvel's Avengers, that's a little different. I'm not entirely sure. I think that one needed to get delayed. That's one that was not ready, especially after what they showed us at E3. So that's ultimately the big thing, is that they needed more time to get these games ready for the next generation systems, and they're going to take the additional time to make sure that they're working on current gen systems, because the rumors and the leaks have suggested that for Cyberpunk specifically, these games are having a hard time actually running on the current gen systems, which I don't doubt, because any of you who played The Witcher 3 on either PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, yeah, there were some bugs. I had an issue when I went to Novigrad where my NPCs didn't have heads, so I couldn't talk to them. And you have to do main quests in Novigrad, which means I could not progress. That was a big bug. It was like week 2 of the game launching, so they're taking the time and they're making sure that these games are going to be forward compatible with the next generation systems as well. There's a couple of other things as well. If you look at specific games, certainly, let's start with Final Fantasy VII Remake. That game, you don't worry about that. It got pushed for a very specific reason, and the specific reason was because Avengers needed to get pushed into September. So they didn't remember that Avengers was supposed to be May. So that was going to be their fiscal for 2021, their first quarter fiscal game. When they push Avengers, they don't have a game in that first fiscal quarter. But with Final Fantasy VII Remake taking the spot, they now have a game in the first quarter of fiscal 21, which to us as gamers, that doesn't matter too much to us. But as to Square, a publicly traded company, it does make a difference because they need to appease their stockholders. So those games, I'm not worried about Final Fantasy VII Remake. That should be fine. Avengers is going to need that time, and I would not be surprised to see it slip out of the year. I don't know if it can make it. And it's interesting that Cyberpunk and Marvel both are launching in September. That should give us a good indication that that's the cutoff point for all these games getting delayed. September is probably right about the time, late September specifically, right about the time either Series X or PlayStation 5 are going to launch. So that's why they're being pushed into as far into September as they can go, and that's because they want to be able to still come out in current gen systems, give themselves a couple of weeks of sales, because let's be real here. If you're getting Cyberpunk on the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, and hey, next week, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X comes out, well, why don't I just wait? I've already waited this long. Why not just wait a week, get the PlayStation 5, play it on a superior system? I know PC guys, if you want to play on a superior system, play it on the PC. I know, but that's, not all of us have that option. So that's the big thing. They're delayed to get ready for next generation systems. And like I said, Final Fantasy VII, no trouble. That'll launch. Probably still gonna have a day one patch. That's just how we live these days. Avengers gonna have an issue. And let's talk about a couple of others specifically. Another big delay, and I'm not entirely sure what's taking so long. I don't know that it's taking long. It's Dying Light 2. It didn't have a concrete release date. It just had spring 2020. I take this, what I'm about to say, with a grain of salt, because I heard it from someone who heard it from someone who heard it from someone. So it's going up the totem pole or down the totem pole, whichever way you want to say that. That Dying Light was delayed not because it had any issues, but because Microsoft has been in talks with the development studio to buy them. Which wouldn't mean Dying Light 2 is not going to be on PlayStation 4. It just means, similar to Obsidian, Outer Worlds was on both systems, but their next game might be exclusive to Microsoft. Again, take that with a grain of salt. That's just what I've heard. And like I said, it wasn't from a developer or anything like that. And while we're on a couple of other games, let's see, the whole Ubisoft mess, right? Ubisoft needed to, anybody who played Ghost Recon Breakpoint knows Ubisoft needed some help. That is a game that you need to delay. And it was pushed out specifically for stockholders because they needed to appease stockholders. It ended up backfiring. They ended up losing some money because the game was so broken, or losing value, but they said, all right, you know what, we messed up. And I respect Ubisoft for this. They came out and said, we messed up. We are pushing everything. Like, we're supposed to have Gods and Monsters, assumedly a Far Cry or a Watch Dog, whatever. At least 2 Ubisoft games should have been out in the first quarter. Not happening. We're not seeing them until, at the earliest, probably fall. So I respect Ubisoft for doing that. They're giving their development teams more time, which, as I said, any development team is going to take time if they can get it. So we know why those ones were delayed. It's very specific. I would assume Watch Dogs is the first one out, Watch Dogs Legion. Expect that in September, October, whatever. And then there's a couple of other games that got delayed. Biomutant, I don't know what's going on with that game. It's been shown 2 or 3 times at least, probably more than that. It's because I think it was revealed like 3 years ago, or even longer, 4 years, something like that. No idea what's going on with that. It's not got a release date. It just keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed. Iron Man VR for you VR gamers, just a simple fact, that needs more time. And I believe let me check my little book here, see what I got. Last of Us Part 2. This is an interesting one, right? So this got delayed last year, but it was shown, the release date was actually, I believe it was this week, February something. End of February is when it was supposed to release. They had that state of play where they said, we got the release date, we're good to go. And that state of play, that is the reason that it was even shown, was because they had The Last of Us Part 2 date in it. That got delayed. That's just something that simply needed more polish. I believe maybe because they have Dreams out now, that they were like, all right, we're gonna have Dreams be at the end of fiscal for 2020, and then we're pushing all of our stuff, because they're gonna have Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, whatever they're launching with PlayStation 5, all that business is gonna be fiscal 2021, so Sony's gonna have a good fiscal for 2021. For those of you that care about stocks, they're kind of up there. Their price is up there. That delay, I do believe, was just simply for polish, and they wanted more time. Generally, Naughty Dog games are pretty polished, no bugs, anything like that. But they also don't have multiplayer, so that's a weird one. And let's dive into Cyberpunk 2077. The rumor around that one is that it is obviously launching on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but the rumor is that they've been having a hard time getting it running on that system. Its delay, I think, are a couple of factors. Like I said, forward compatibility with Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, that's a given. But with the success of the Witcher Netflix series and people rebuying and replaying The Witcher 3, they also got a somewhat large influx of additional cash, which kind of gives them more time, right? It's like, all right, well, we got that burden of we need to release a game because we need to make more money to keep people employed. But now that The Witcher's doing all right again, which it should do, Witcher's great, we've got a little bit more time. And frankly, they were going to release an inferior product, and they knew it, and they also know that they have a potential Game of the Year winner on their hands, so they just pushed it, which makes sense to me. I still think that game's going to be buggy because there's way too much stuff going on, but it ain't going to be as bad as what we would have saw if it would have released in April. And hey, I am bummed that it got delayed. I don't think, unlike Avengers, I'm pretty sure it's still catching this year. I don't think it's getting pushed out of 2020. I hope it's not. It's on my fantasy league, but I also hope as a gamer that it's not, because I really want to play that game. And I love big RPGs. That's one thing you should know about me. Open world RPGs where you can do what you want. I'm all about that business. And I don't think it's the end of the delays. We're going to see some more delays going forward. March is very packed, so I think what you're going to see is the fact that in March, while we're all kind of distracted by playing these new games, they're just going to start dropping like, oh, by the way, this is delayed. It's like, oh, but we're not going to care as much because we're occupied with whatever we're playing. Breath of the Wild 2. Let's just go ahead and talk about that one real quick. Hasn't been delayed, but also hasn't been revealed to when it is launching. If you think it's launching this year, I think you're wrong. It's going to be a 2021 game. Just what I think. But yeah, that's the main things. That's why they're being delayed. A developer will always take more time when time is given. EA, looking at you, you should give more time. BioWare, looking at you, I know that you two work together. Anthem is still a hot mess, so needed more. Apparently you needed longer than a freaking year to get it fixed. So yeah, just give them more time. They'll take more time. Second, they need to have these things ready day and date with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox One. That's the big thing. I don't think they needed to have it day and date before. Now they're getting pressure like, hey, we do need these day and date. So that's why a lot of these delays are happening. And of course, there's other little things like, money, stockholders. That's Square's business. So that's where I'm at with it. If you know something I don't, or you think of something that I'm missing that's very obvious to you, I'm pretty sure I've got it all covered here, that the basic knowledge of it at least. Leave a comment, let me know. Check out the Discord if you want to come talk about video games, because that's what I like to do. I love to talk about video games. That's why I'm here. Chatting about video games, playing video games, reviewing video games, whatever. Video games are one of my passions, so that's what I do. Anyways, I've been rambling. I know I ramble. It's what I do. So if you liked what you saw, got what you needed, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Later, Gators.